I never imagined that I would be reviewing, even recommending this supernatural mystery kind of story, because when I tell you my first impression of it when I tried it a long time ago, I didn't like it. But then I read all of it and I loved it. Hello friends! I am so excited that you're here. We are continuing the 25 Days of Shoujo manga and sort of going with the theme that I have been doing of a shoujo buyer's guide of sorts. So if like you're looking for some manga to gift to others in your life for Christmas and you're like, I don't know where to start, I've been doing different genres and I got so many recommendations, or not so many, but I got several suggestions, I should say, to do supernatural, paranormal, mystery. So if you'd like to check out that guide, be sure to check out this video here, because the manga that I'm going to be reviewing today, I actually featured in that video, and that is Last Quarter. This is by the same creator as Nana, Neighborhood Story, and the upcoming series we're getting next year of I'm No Angel. Please do not mind the less than pretty barcode that I had to cover. I don't know why. I got this from my library, exact same library, and they put the barcode on volume 1 but not on volume 2. I'm like, please don't do that. But anyway, yes, this is a 2-volume series. I believe it was like 4 volumes, in Japan, but they put it in like an Omni edition for the US. This was one of the most compelling reads of 2025. I would not say it's a favorite, but when the time that I originally read this series, I really struggled of, do I put this on my favorites for 2025? Because it was a series I could not stop thinking about after I read it. My daughter was really sick the week I read volume 2, and I just, yeah, even several days after, even sleep deprived, I'm like, man, I'm still thinking about that ending. I'm still thinking about those characters. Now, I'm gonna do my best to keep this video spoiler free, and usually I would say that after I share what the book's about, but the thing is nothing is as it seems. So I'm gonna do my best to not spoil anything, because I really feel like this was one of the best ways that I went into it of going in blind, though I guess if you're watching this video, you can't go in blind. So I'm gonna do my best to keep it spoiler free so it does not take away from some of these major points. I'm like, dude, I didn't know that was gonna happen. So if you're not familiar with this series, it is mainly about our female lead, Mizuki here, and she is a young high schooler. She is having some major trouble at home. Her father has remarried, trying to find a good picture of her right here. Here's a pretty good one. Her father remarried and she just doesn't really feel wanted at home. Her boyfriend that she's been dating for a long time cheated on her with her best friend, and so she's really down when we meet her in this first chapter, and she comes across this man, Adam, right here. He is playing his guitar, I think it was in Shibuya, and he's just playing it, and she is drawn to him like a moth to a flame. She comes to him and listens to him play. They talk a little bit, and I think he asks her like, hey, will you come home with me? More on that in a moment here, but he's like, will you come with me? And so she does, and not only does she come with him, but like, well, there was a little bit of time that passed, but she goes to this house that he has been living in by himself, and she is basically run away. But the thing is things take a turn because we see that, and then we meet our other, I guess you would say, female lead, who is a precious little being. Her name is Hotaru, and she is right here, and I guess I could rewind, is because we meet her in a very interesting place, because right before this, Mizuki gets hit by a car, and we don't really know what is happening, and that's sort of the whole point of this series, is what exactly is happening with Mizuki, with one of our female leads. So when I first read this, I tried chapter 1 at some point, and y'all, the sirens were going off in my head. Now this does have like a 2-year age gap. I wasn't bothered by that. That's not where the warning bells were coming in, because when Mizuki comes to Adam and we see she's basically run from home, the only person who knows that she is left seems to be her, half-sister, the daughter of her father's new wife. I think that would be the half-sister, right? But yeah, she's the only one. She's begging Mizuki to stay, but Mizuki is determined to go to Adam. And so she goes to this house, as I said before, with him. Things seem okay, but he does not want her to go anywhere. He does not want to be left alone. So she ends up not going to her job, not going to school, not going back to her family, not seeing anybody but Adam. Adam seems, for this short period of time, to have consumed her very life. And there's a moment, because I was a little nervous for our female lead here, but there's a moment where he seems to physically, or about to physically harm her. And we see, not by Mizuki, but by Adam, that there is some kind of drug abuse that's happening that we were not informed of, but we see the after effects or the aftermath. He blames her for what he's doing. And I said, excuse me? But I was okay, let's keep going, let's keep going. And I'm so glad I did, because when we meet Hotaru, the precious little being that she is, this story was like a 180. I was said, okay, I said, well, we're not, what's happening? And honestly, there is a quote of Hotaru saying, how can I prove whether it's a ghost or a hallucination? Because the thing is, as I said, Mizuki got hit by a car. We don't know what happens to her at all. We just know that she got hit, and we're sort of, at least for me, I was assuming the worst, especially after Hotaru, she is missing her cat, and so she goes out on her own, because Hotaru, I forgot to mention, she also got hospitalized, and somehow she meets Mizuki in this place. We don't know what this place is, but we know that she meets her there. She is telling Mizuki, like, I'm trying to find my cat, I'm trying to find my cat, and Mizuki's like, okay, I'm gonna help you, and she helps her, and then Hotaru wakes up in the hospital, and it's like, okay, well, where were we? But Hotaru didn't actually find her cat. And so Hotaru goes off to find this missing cat, and that's when she comes across this house that Mizuki is in. This house right here. This was the house that Mizuki stayed in with Adam. And when Hotaru, somehow she ends up going inside of the house, she sees the body of Mizuki. Yes, she sees the body of Mizuki, who seems to be alive. That's where things get pretty eerie, because I read this around Halloween. Yes, this review's coming a lot later, and it was creepy a little bit, because when Hotaru goes in, she is talking to Mizuki. Mizuki is saying how she can't leave this house, and when she's tried, she always ends up back to another room, so she feels completely trapped here. And Hotaru goes to tell some friends at school, her best friend, Sei, she was so wonderful, this girl right here, Sei. She was very, very sweet, an excellent, wonderful friend to Hotaru. Loved her through the whole series. But Hotaru opens up and she says, hey, I've met Mizuki and at this house, and she's telling her, because Mizuki's explaining, where's Adam? Where's Adam? I need to find Adam. And Hotaru's like, okay, I'm gonna help you find him. I'm gonna help you find him. She brings her friend Sei to the house. Sei can't see Mizuki. She can't hear her. She can't hear the music that Mizuki plays on this piano in this home. And Sei is freaked out. She's like, Hotaru, this is a ghost. They're going to curse you. Like, this house is cursed. We need to get out. But Hotaru has formed this friendship that seems to be with this ghost. I really feel that is where I got invested. It is very much a supernatural mystery where these young kids, I forget what grade that they're in, because here's a few of the other, yeah, you could see the other three. This is a funny panel, but these are the other three that come with her, because Hotaru has a crush on this guy here. His name is Masaki, and Tetsu is like, the guys are best friends, and so they end up tagging along with Sei and everything, and they can't see Mizuki either, but they can see Hotaru's animation of how happy she is to be able to talk to Mizuki for the first time. Like, you could see it right here, where they're like, something is happening, because here's Hotaru's hat that's just floating, and they don't understand because they didn't really believe Hotaru. Going back to that quote I was saying of, how is she able to explain or prove whether Mizuki is a ghost or whether Hotaru is hallucinating, because her friends were really concerned when they can't hear Mizuki, they can't see Mizuki. They're like, Hotaru has sort of lost it. They're thinking, she had some issues at home a little bit, because her mom basically works at night at I don't want to say club. It's a certain place though, but it definitely is frowned upon in society of where she works, and so Hotaru's often alone. So they feel like when she had this accident, and she also, I believe, got hit by a car and she was hospitalized, they're like, maybe something was a little bit off, something happened to her when she was there, because now she's hallucinating. It was so investing and engaging, because they realize when they see that moment with the hat that Mizuki is giving to Hotaru, that's when they start realizing there's something up. So at this point, these kids are like, okay, we can't communicate with her, we can't see her, but we want to help her, because Hotaru tells them, like, Mizuki says that she was with Adam, she doesn't know what happened to him, she's deeply concerned. Like, we see Mizuki cry a lot because she's overwhelmingly concerned about Adam. And so the kids are like, okay, we are going to help you, because they think she's a lost ghost, that maybe her soul is just sort of trying to find Adam, and if she can find Adam, they will find that closure. And so this first volume really centers around them doing exactly that, of asking these questions, me asking questions alongside them, because I even felt before we got to the end of what in the world would happen if Mizuki actually meets Adam, and where has he been? Because there seems to be no signs of him. Everybody around them, that they like interview different people in the neighborhood pretending to be investigators, though they're actually really investigated here, that nobody seems to recall. There's been nobody in this house for 20 years. But here's Mizuki claiming that she was here for 2 weeks with Adam, where nobody seems to have seen them and nobody knows about them. A huge mystery. But then we get to the end. And I really felt like everything that I knew as a reader alongside these kids was completely mind blown, because you get the biggest twist in this whole mystery of wondering. I mean, they've been asking Mizuki questions. They've been asking her to draw on this notebook, so because they could see what she wrote down, they've been asking about her memories. And then this moment happens, and it's like, what do we do now? What are these kids going to do now? And I really felt there was like a shift going into volume 2, because we sort of get answers. We get answers that are putting holes in all of this investigation, where they're like, we know what to do. And I thought it was so greatly explored that all this time, these kids are like, we're just gonna help Mizuki get back in her body, wherever her body is. They're like, we're gonna help this ghost. But things aren't always very simple. They're looking, and there's a quote. Let me read it to you, okay? I have it written down. They say, somehow we got so caught up in putting the pieces together that we missed something crucial. Many problems of the human heart can't be contained by reason. And I feel like that sums up this second volume. I've seen some reviews say that they love volume 2 more than volume 1. I feel a little bit of the opposite, but I cried. I will admit, I did cry at the end of this volume. Some people say it's a very depressing ending, and I didn't feel that way. It is sad, but I didn't feel it was depressing, mainly because I was so concerned about Mizuki. If Hotaru was the main female lead in volume 1, we really see into the heart, into the mind of Mizuki, where she's gaining these memories as this supposed ghost, and what this could mean for her future. We really see the stakes of all that mystery that's happening, and these kids trying to solve different things about Mizuki. It's in volume 2 that we see the deep love that these characters have for Mizuki, that the friendship that they have made is so much bigger than any supernatural work that is happening. And there's stakes attached to that because of what they find out at the end of volume 1. And honestly, I felt that was the hardest part for me, because again, Hotaru has a heart of gold. She's so precious, and she loves Mizuki. She wants a deep and heartfelt relationship, friendship with her, and show her how much she cares. There's lines where she's like, God, if I could just open the door for a miracle, I would do it right now. She says, what can I say to Mizuki to keep her here? Because even though she seems to be this ghost and everything, she doesn't want Mizuki to leave, but she knows that the news that they found out, that when Mizuki finds out, that's gonna be it. That Mizuki will vanish. And Hotaru knows that she wants Mizuki to have peace, and if this is what she needs, this is what she needs. But at the same time, they have this friendship that is beautiful and precious. And Hotaru, no matter what kind of thing they have found in this investigation that they have been doing, Hotaru never for a second has doubted Mizuki's story, despite, as I said, we have this, everybody saying that 20 years ago, that's the last time they saw anybody in this house. And it's like, well, what now? What next? And nothing is lining up when it comes to that. Even a point, one of the guys is like, we need to really seriously think about that Mizuki's memories are false, and that these are hallucinations that this ghost is having. But Hotaru's like, no, I believe her. And she has a breakdown in the middle of the street. Bless the girl's heart. Like, she is amazing. She's so precious, and just never once did she doubt. And every time in this volume, like I took a few pictures. I wish I would have. I do have pictures of them, but I don't have them saved and know where they're at. But she just really, she doesn't want to hurt Mizuki. She doesn't. But at the same time, again, she wants the best for her. And I feel like that's sort of all I could say about the story itself. Again, it is a like, I feel like it's a bittersweet ending. It was the hardest thing was seeing things unfold with the kids, how the mystery comes together, they get the answers that they need, and there was good things that happened. It didn't end in a tragic way like I thought it would. Has some tragedy, but that's more pertaining to the past. I really admire how Sensei was truly able to wrap up this series in a way that made sense, because originally, I think it was just because I was sleep deprived. After I first read volume 2, I was like, this feels like a fever dream. Like when we start getting the answers and everything, again, is starting to make sense. It's clicking. We're seeing how the missing pieces of the puzzle, that they come in, they fit perfectly. And to see the grand scheme of things by the end was so emotional and heartfelt. I mean, truly captivating storytelling from start to finish. I mean, if I wasn't sleep deprived and my daughter wasn't extremely sick, I would have straight binge read this, because I was so blown away by the heart that was in this series. And truly, when we see Mizuki's ending journey and part of her story, man, it hit me so hard. It hit me so hard. I left this volume thinking, you know, I am, and I don't mean this in a boastful way, but I'm so much more loved than I probably ever realized. And I feel like that was such a powerful takeaway. Makes me emotional thinking about it. I feel like it was such a powerful takeaway from Mizuki, that sometimes we get caught up in seeing these negative things. We see the hardships in our personal lives. I'm not even talking about the world. I'm talking about your personal heart, your personal mind, things in your everyday life. And you could feel very unloved. You could feel very uncared for. And you could feel like, man, these hardships are just overwhelming any good memories or fondness or any good thing. And then it just takes a moment where you realize this is it, or it seems this is it, that there's no turning back. You may feel like, well, man, this is what I deserved. And Mizuki felt like that. But then hope just shines through in the powerfulest of ways. And I love that for her personally, in seeing and her saying, you know, maybe life wasn't so bad after all. And that just really, that was the part I actually cried, because especially, I don't know if it was Adam who says it when we get like this flashback of sorts of something else, can't say because of spoilers, but that you're so loved. And it really, despite the heartache and the bittersweetness, Mizuki's life and the people around her truly showed that she's deeply cared for and loved. And if certain things happened, people are going to grieve. People are going to be heartbroken. And so I was so moved for that. And I think that's why I felt that while this ending was sad, that I felt such hopefulness on a personal level, that during a week where I was struggling and I was having some mental things going on and not liking things about myself and feeling insecure, this series just reminded me, you know, I'm far more loved than I probably have ever realized. And I think Hotaru, being the beautiful and fantastic character that she is, really helps all of that to shine through in such a powerful way, of the things that she did, of the steps she took, of absolute 100% belief and faith in Mizuki's story, that she never once turned from her, but instead fully believed her and did everything in her power to help her. And that's exactly what she did. Hotaru and her friends were a fantastic cast of characters. I loved how they all came together. I love how we have this bigger mystery that's unfolding, but yet we're seeing into their personal friendship in their lives, because there's a crush that's happening. And I loved how respectful Sei is, and how much she cared for Hotaru, and how Hotaru cared for Sei, and just that these girls had the most beautiful of friendships. Like, truly, the friendships in this series are fantastic. Very heartfelt. And I know I've already used that word, but it truly, when I just think of this series, that's what I think of. I think of so compelling and very heart moving, where you don't know what's happening with this mystery. You get that mystery in there, and it's good, it's good. But underneath in these, what may feel subtler ways, because it's not the main focus, you see those friendships shine. And it was beautiful. It was so fantastic. And I loved being on this journey. I mean, honestly, I've really have considered buying this series physically for my own collection. It's definitely different than what I typically read. It's not a fluffy story at all, but it's so fantastic. And it just surprised me. And I truly, firmly stand behind that this is the most compelling read I've read of 2025. I don't feel anything can beat that. I've read plenty of great things. And again, it's not a favorite read for me, but the way I was so surprised from my first impression of chapter 1 to loving and crying at the end and thinking about it really impressed me as a reader who I felt like had their own personal ideas of where things were going to go, and it just did not. So I would very, very much recommend this series if you're not really big into spooky, scary things, but you don't mind a little bit of eeriness and you don't mind a supernatural mystery and really having to think and alongside these kids of what is happening, what does that mean, and you don't mind a bittersweet ending. I think they even say they're like star-crossed lovers. Want the romance definitely on the back burner because it's not the focus. It's not the focus. This mystery and this friendship, that's the focus. And so if that's what you're looking for and you want a shorter series, yes, please check this out. It was beautiful, fantastic. So glad that I came back and gave this a try. And shout out to the people who asked, can you do some kind of supernatural mystery kind of manga video? Because it's because of you guys that I decided, I was like, hey, my library has this, I'm gonna give it a shot. And deeply, deeply thankful I did. So yeah, I highly recommend it, but I would love to hear from you. Have you read any other works by this creator, the creator of Nana, Neighborhood Story? Have you read this series? Does it sound interesting to you? Let me know down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!